What's up, everybody? Eric and Jenna here, driverlineup.com, world's okayest steering wheel holders. And Jenna's comment just now is, it is not likely that I won't vomit today. So, which, anyway, being pregnant.
I said it's very likely that I will vomit at some point today.
Yeah. Oh man, look how messy my bed looks up there. By the way, you guys may have noticed this. Remy's chewing on a B-A-L-L. You guys may have noticed this before. Right there, there's a clean sock. Right there. And Captain Dave was in my truck yesterday, down on the training pad, and that sock came up right there. And I was like, well, that's because the ladder rattles. And longtime subscribers will know I cannot stand rattles. In fact, Jen and I, all the way over to Prime today, we're discussing a rattle that's happening over there.
There's like this little silver strip on the dash, and it rattles. It's like, because they just like clip it in. It's just like a little add-on.
It's a little piece of plastic. It looks nice.
Yeah.
But in Peterbilt fashion, they have to have something that looks nice that rattles.
Yeah.
So they got rid of the cup holders that rattled in this new truck and decided, well, we got to have something that rattles. So they put
silver strip.
Yeah, so they put that in there. My topic for today, I was supposed to have ready, and I don't. So anyway, I'm about to get, while I'm pulling this up, I'm about to do an interview with Haley from Success Leasing to do the white glove video that I've been telling you guys about with Success Leasing. So that's coming up. I might have that one up tonight as well for you guys. We're getting ready to go out on load. If you saw yesterday's video, you know that we're shuffling some things to figure out how to make life work next year. Oh, this is killing me that I can't find this. So we don't quite know how that's going to shake out. So there's no big news or updates on that. Right now we're
just gotta go make some money.
Yeah, right now we're just gonna go make some money. We gotta go run a few loads, and then come back for a doctor's appointment. So that's what we're gonna do. I cannot find this. This is gonna drive me crazy. All right, we're gonna talk about something different. Anyway,
yeah, I have no idea.
I was gonna talk to you guys about. I'll find it and post it up. In fact, it'll probably be better to do it after the white glove video. But I wanted to show you guys the average revenue per truck for each division this year: tanker, reefer, and flatbed. And the reason is because the next video you'll hear from Haley at Success Leasing on some of the big changes that they're making, and I think they're very good changes. I think Success Leasing, maybe it's not listening. I don't want to imply that they don't know that these changes need to happen on their, that they don't know it on their own, because they probably do. Maybe some of it's just hearing some of the driver community, but there's some big changes coming, and it's called the white glove service with Success Leasing, and I think it's really exciting. I think it's a big need, but I haven't talked about this in a long time about how if you go out there on the internet searching for Success Leasing information, what are you going to see a lot of? Success Fleecing. What are some of the other words? There's so many words, and in fact, a lot of it before I came to Prime. Jenna and I remember our conversations in the weeks leading up to coming to Prime, where it was like, oh, we can't lease a truck, like we can't. Just remember how big it sounded.
The problem is that those with something to complain about are always the loudest voice in the room. And when you have a lot of people who feel like they've been wronged or slighted and nothing was done to kind of make them feel better and fix that, then it just kind of adds fuel and they become an even louder voice. So you get a lot of people who things maybe didn't go their way, who want to tell everybody, but then like the people who are actually, it's working for them and they're out there making money, are too busy to go and counteract that narrative. So when we were coming into this and I saw all these like comments on different trucking boards and stuff, the idea of leasing was terrifying to me.
Yeah.
Absolutely terrifying to me, because you hear the worst of the worst horror stories on trucking blogs or trucking forums. But then again, another thing too is that you always have to consider, like, everybody had that uncle who would do big fish stories. Nobody's worse when it comes to the big fish stories than truckers. So you'll learn that, you know. I drove uphill both ways, ice storm, blizzard, you know, it's just,
Yeah.
so yeah.
Yeah, so, and I wasn't preparing to go lease when I came to Prime,
No.
so it's not like Jen and I were arguing about it. We just both were like, no, we're not doing that.
That doesn't seem like a good idea at all.
Yeah, and it was based on a lot of the stuff that you see out there on the internet. And there's forum after forum of there's story after story about how Success Leasing is such a ripoff because it costs so much, the payment's so high.
Well, and one of the things about that I want to point out, so when you actually sign up for like those trucking forums and you start asking people questions who have commented stuff like that, 75% of the time, those people who are complaining about something didn't actually even lease.
Yeah,
they just
either,
heard from a friend that it was a bad situation.
Either didn't lease or, as I've talked about in the past, got into a valley and bailed, you know, bolted and took off and couldn't handle the heat. And we've talked about on this channel many times the valleys out here that you can get into, and if you're not prepared to be looking at it, like for example, we haven't made like much of any money the last couple weeks, and now we were prepared for that. We had appointments, we had things we needed to work on, we had things we needed to get through, but we had reserves, and we know that we can go out and get back, you know, so we're in that valley. Well, if we based our whole relationship in this business on what happened the last couple of weeks, even though that was our own fault, we would think this isn't going to work. You know, maybe that's not the greatest example, but sometimes that kind of valley happens through no fault of your own. Our friend Jacob, JDQ Transportation, he's going through some shit right now where, you know, loads are just not, they're just problematic, you know, where he's having to sit extra days, and it's, you know, it's tough for him, and we know how that feels. But I also know that Jacob's been in times where he's like, holy shit, this is fire, you know, and he's got the grit to get through it and win. But anyway, Success Leasing. So on these big payments, the one thing that I would say, because I want to be fully transparent with you and I want to be as objective as possible, the one thing I will say about the high payment is that you can't slack, because with that high payment comes deep holes. You know, so especially if you're a new driver, like in your first year, and you haven't built up a nest egg, you haven't come up with a good business plan, or you don't understand a pathway to get back to where you need to be, it can get you in a hole really fast. So you do have to be very careful when you have a high payment like that. It can get you in a hole very fast. And we've seen other YouTubers, people that we know, who had something happen in the family, or, you know, had to get home for the kids or something like that, and 1 week becomes 2 weeks, and 2 weeks become 3 weeks, and then all of a sudden, oh my God, you know, you're so negative because of that big payment, that can cause problems. And that's why you have to build up an e-fund or your own nest egg to protect yourself when situations like that arise. And that's why we're glad we're buying our truck. While we haven't made a lot of money in the last couple weeks, and in the training class yesterday, for those who don't know, when you take a class, you don't get a deferred truck payment if you're lease purchasing. If you're buying your truck, you don't get a deferred payment. It's not a standard lease. You don't get an annual forgiven payment. So, you know, it's even worse for a lease purchase. But at least with our truck, one of the first reasons we decided to buy a truck is that at least that payment is in exchange for an asset. You know, it's not just giving Prime money for nothing. So it feels a lot less dirty. But on those standard lease payments, that's the one thing that I want to be totally transparent and say that the downside of the high lease payment is that you got to run and you got to have some good backup for if you're not running. But on the other side of it, the reason that I want to talk to you guys in one of the next couple videos about the average revenue per truck is that I've always said the revenue is there with Prime, and that's the key. Our second truck that's out there running, he's at like $6,500 this week that's ending today in gross revenue, and he just got a load that's paying over $2 a mile. It's doing $1,000 a day in revenue. It's $2,000 for 2 days. The week before he did $5,400. And he's a solo truck. So the revenue is there, and that's why the having a higher payment for better, newer equipment. Now, right now it's tough because you can't get trucks and things like, you know, the whole industry is kind of turned upside down. Generally speaking, for a relatively new truck that's in good condition, that's going to be well maintained, that you have all the support of a network like Prime, that $1,000, $1,100, $1,200 in payments that you're making, the revenue is absolutely there. And I think that was a big eye-opener for both Jen and I, because it was a team decision we made. Even though when I upgraded, Jenna wasn't a truck driver, she wasn't a Prime employee at the time, she was just a passenger. We both were kind of like, it was like literally the week before I upgraded, I told her, I said, look, you know, I feel confident with this. I feel like I can do it. And I feel like we should start a business and lease a truck.
Well, and another thing too that you had to your advantage was that your PSD trainer and partial TNT trainer was company, yeah. And then your second trainer was lease, so you got to see the difference between both of them. Yeah, I got to see the way both trucks were run, and I see advantages to both, don't get me wrong, but to fit our lifestyle, we had a dog, obviously. You got to test drive both lifestyles before you make a commitment.
I'm so glad that sneeze came out because I've been fighting it for a minute. But it just fit. So Jenna was like, okay, you know, if you're confident, let's do this. And the revenue was there, right? It like really almost immediately put us at ease. I don't think once we did it, I don't think we were ever scared, were we?
The only time we were really scared is when we were loading our things into the truck and taking the plastic off the seats.
Yeah, we were scared before we left.
The truck was brand new, so it was like, okay, we're doing this. Yeah. And, you know, because for him, it's like, we're going out there, and I'm not a driver, so he's got no help from me, so it's just like all right, I'm doing this.
Yeah, but once we got moving on some loads, and we got funneled right into the meat patch, and we got an amazing meat load into the meat patch, and then we got a meat load with multiple stops over in the Carolinas, and we're instantly making good money.
Oh yeah, that
Great,
one.
great revenue. Yeah.
That one food service place with
very beginning,
impossible.
Yeah, we got some of the hardest docs I've ever had, literally my first week. But the point that I wanted to show you guys, those numbers are actually on this phone that we're filming on. I'll do the video in a couple videos, but just to ballpark you right now, the averages with all three divisions are in the 4,500, I think, to 5,500 range. Maybe 5,500 is a little high. Anyway, the point is, an $1,100 truck payment is perfectly fine and manageable when you're doing nearly $5,000 a month or a week in revenue. Because let's say you got $1,000 in fuel, well, you're still making great money. It all depends on the miles you're running, the how heavy the load is, where you're running the load, etc. But that's one thing that the people complaining about how you're just buying a truck for Prime and you're just giving them $4,500 a month in truck payments, making that payment for them. What they generally don't tell you is that it's not difficult to generate $20,000 a month in gross revenue to your business. Doesn't mean into your pocket, but that's to your business. And that's reality. Like, I'm not making that up. The numbers that I have are average of the entire thousands and thousands of truck strong fleet. So it's Success Leasing it's a good program. It's a great opportunity. Do I think that a lot of drivers will eventually outgrow it? Yes. We're still buying our trucks through Success Leasing, and frankly, that's a better deal than going out on the market right now. I've talked about that before too. Remy's back making an appearance. But it provides for a lot of open doors and a lot of opportunity, and I can believe it, but Jen and I have been making videos for like 14, 15 months now. And one of the most common things we see is what a ripoff Success Leasing and Prime is. And the reality that we live in is that Success Leasing and Prime created the opportunity for us to now be buying multiple trucks. So it just, what we see people come and comment, and then what we live as our reality are two vastly, widely different things.
But the best part is that they'll keep commenting and trying to convince you that your reality isn't reality.
Oh yeah, we've literally had people in the comments tell me that, well, maybe I just don't know what it's supposed to look like. Maybe I haven't seen success yet, and that's why I'm wrong, because I haven't really seen success. And it's like, what the F are you talking about? We haven't seen success. I want to respond to some of those comments and say, were you able to buy 2 trucks this year? I would love to know. Now, a lot of people are. I'm not saying that that's just unique to us, but the absurdity, for those of you who want to leave those kinds of comments, and I know this is not most of you, but if you want to leave those kinds of comments, let me give you a little piece of advice. When someone is happy with their situation, and their situation is prosperous for them, and they're being very successful with it, and they're sharing that information with thousands of other people, it doesn't serve you well to go tell them they don't know what they're talking about, and they don't know what they're doing, and they're wrong, and they're not really happy, and they're not really successful. Why do you think that that's going to be a productive comment? I don't get that. Anyway, if you're in training or thinking about coming to Prime, and you're seeing that stuff out there about Success Leasing, or you're a company driver and you want to make the switch, that's not what this video is about. I'm not trying to convince company drivers to go lease. Please don't think that. Oh, that's Prime. She's got to grab this phone. Anyway, guys, that's it for now. Be safe. Make good decisions. As always, drive to thrive. Don't be afraid to lease. We love you guys. Talk to you soon.